Okay, let's get started here. I have some notes I'm going to look at. Can we mute everyone? Because there's some background noise. And if you need to ask a question or comment or anything, you can unmute yourself, but let's get everybody muted right now. My question on here is, what keeps us from success? And I've been thinking about this all week, especially since the kickoff thing Friday. I was watching off and on all day. And I got to thinking of all the things that Young Living has done for us to help us build. They do it because if we are successful, the company is successful. So they've made all of these changes to keep the company growing and more successful all the time. But when we started years ago, things were entirely different. For most of you on here, things have changed. One of the things is, and it was mentioned this week, in 2017, do you remember the big change for enrollment? Anybody know what happened in 2017 that made it so much easier to enroll people? Social Security numbers. That was major. How many of us, how many times had a major issue enrolling people for years because you had to have their Social Security number for them just to buy something? That was a big deal. People, strangers, do not want to give you their Social Security number. So we had to always have some creative way to explain to them about the Social Security number, that this was for the Federal Trade Commission, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in 2017, all of that changed and we no longer needed the Social Security number. For those of you that just started building in the past couple of years, you've never seen anything like that. Sarah, are you raising your hand? Want to talk? Oh. So we had that big change in 2017. It was major for us. And if you weren't there all those years trying to build, you don't recognize it. But to try to get a stranger's Social Security number was not always easy. And then if it got put in wrong, then you had another issue. So that was just stripped away. That was something easy. One of the things is we no longer need to talk someone into becoming a member by buying a kit. They can just place an order. I mean, that's amazing, because for years and years and years, somebody would just want a bottle of Thieves or a bottle of Ningxia, but no, we had to explain to them how they had to buy a kit. Well, that made it really difficult to enroll people, but so they took that away. We don't have to do it with a kit. It's just like buying from Amazon. You can buy any product you want to as a customer. They doubled the Fast Start bonus to 50% instead of 25%. Remember, we always got 25% of whatever anybody ordered the first 3 months. Well, now that first month, it's 50%. That's an incentive. Every one of these are things that Young Living has done to help us grow, because if we grow, the company grows. The next thing, they're continually opening new warehouses for shipping. We have griped about shipping forever. And it's still it's not perfect, but it's so much better than it was. So shipping is getting better all the time. They're offering Win the Week training now. So if you want training every single week, you can get on Facebook and you can do that. You can do Win the Week every week. And they also have rank training. So you can log in at your rank and you can get training every month. Or is it every week? I can't remember. But the training is there. Even in member resources, there's training. So if you enroll people, if you don't tell them about member resources, then you're cheating yourself and you're cheating them, because there is a whole list of things that they can go through for training on how to start building. So member resources, if they buy the membership, the business kit, which is 14 something, I think, then they have access to member resources in their virtual office. And if you've not been there, you need to go and see what all is there. So these are things that we didn't have for years, nothing available. We didn't have any kind of product guide. Now you can get it online. And now you can tell people if they get a loyalty rewards for 2 consecutive months, they'll get a free diffuser. So these are a few things that I got to thinking about Young Living has done for us to help us. So why are we not successful? What is the number one thing that keeps people from being successful in Young Living? What do you think?
Mindset.
It's always mindset, always. It's not your age. It's not your gender. It's not your location. It's not your education. It's not your understanding of business. It's none of that. I am proof of it. I didn't start building until I was 52. I live in a town of less than 800 people. I had no education and I hadn't had a job since 1975. It has nothing to do with any of these excuses. They're real. They're real and you have to work through them. But the main thing you have to do is work through it here. And most of you probably have, but there's still some that have not. It's a matter of belief. It always comes down to a matter of belief. Years ago, we had some teaching about neural pathways. Does anybody remember that? I'm just going to share with you real briefly about this because it's a matter of changing the way we think. You may think, oh, I just don't have the personality. I'm an introvert. That's not going to work either because I know too many diamonds that are major introverts, that are yellow personalities. That's not it. If they can be successful, then you can be successful. We have all of the products, the most amazing products in the world. We have all of the tools. We have community. We have people that are supporting us and standing with us and will be with you all the time. The only thing that you may not have is mindset. So when we talk about neural pathways, it is such an amazing teaching that we, at one of the retreats, we had this woman come and teach us about it back several years ago. And she explained how in the brain, there are like highways going everywhere, just all over. And they're called pathways, neural pathways. And the way she explained it is if you have, let's say that in my backyard, we have our house, and then right directly behind us, we own a rent house, and we have a gate that goes from our backyard into the backyard of the rent house. And do you know what is between our house and that house? A little pathway. Because I go back there. David goes back there all the time, and we've made a little pathway through there because we walk it so much. It's exactly the same way with your thinking. The neural pathways start at birth, even before birth. You can, in your mother's womb, some of you may be adopted, in your biological mother's womb, you were hearing negative thoughts, you were hearing possibly positive thoughts. Those thoughts developed those highways in your brain. In my brain, mine was a poverty mentality because my parents never owned a house. I mean, my mother and dad are both dead now. My dad died a couple of years ago. My mother died about 10 years ago. But in my entire life, my parents never owned a house. My dad made really good money, but he spent all of it, whatever if it was hunting, fishing, gambling, whatever. And so he never had any savings, never had any money. My grandparents on both sides of my family were really poor. David's parents were the same way. His grandparents were the same way. We had a poverty mentality. And it wasn't that we felt poor. It was that we felt that there was never extra. We lived payday to payday, and we assumed we would always live payday to payday. That was our life. And we were okay with that until I heard Gary Young one time speak about changing our DNA. And he said that in the DNA is whatever your great-great-grandmother or great-great-grandfather or anyone in your lineage was thinking and believing and addicted to, and whatever they had, it's still in our DNA. But we can change our DNA. We can change it by using, he really stressed that essential oils can change the DNA. We can change it by our thought process. So these pathways in our brain have gone a certain way year after year after decade, that I'll never have anything. My parents didn't have anything. Their parents didn't have anything. I'll never have extra money. It was this whole pathway. But the way Deb explained it to us was that a pathway, you could put a roadblock. So if we put a roadblock out here in our yard going to the rent house, and we couldn't go that way anymore, but we still need to go back there and clean and prepare it and do it, what would we do? We would make a new pathway. We would go someplace else. We would have another way to get there. So in our brains, if we have lived with this thought of, I'll never be able to have money, I'll never be able to be successful, I'll never be a diamond. In my mind, I was going to be a diamond because I found out that if you don't quit, you can get there. But in my mind, when I got there, there wouldn't be any money. Something's going to happen and I will never have that money because nobody in my family ever had money. Does this make sense? But when Gary was talking, and then when my friend Deb was talking about it, I realized we can change that. So we can put a roadblock up in our brain, and every time we go, our brain starts to go there. You say, no, that's not who I am. I will be successful. I will do the work that is required, and I will be successful. And this is what I started doing. I got home from that convention that year, and I called Dana. First, I told David, I said, we have to change the way we think and the way we talk, because we talk with a poverty mentality. Oh, should we order this on the Century Rewards this month? I don't know. It's kind of tight this month. And so we started saying, should we order this on Century Rewards? Yes, that's an investment in our business, and that's an investment in our health. Yes, absolutely we should. It wasn't a question anymore of finances. It was more of an affirmation. Yes, we should do this because it's an investment. So I called Dana and I said, you need to change the way you talk because it's in your DNA too. If it's in mine, then it's in hers. I passed it on down. I'm sorry. But we decided to stop it, that our other children and grandchildren don't have to carry it anymore. So I'm telling you, I know this is a different type Sunday, but I'm telling you, so much of what you have to do is put a roadblock in your brain of those pathways that were put there before you were even born. That other people spoke things over you and to you and around you that was a poverty mentality. And so now you have to stop, put a roadblock there and make a new pathway. And that pathway is going to say something entirely different. And so all of my life, the way I understand all of my life, that pathway is always going to be there. It's never going to leave my brain. But now when I start to go there, my brain sees the roadblock and says, oh, you can't go that direction anymore. This is how you think now. Is that amazing that God created our brain to just change? So I'm telling you, at the beginning of 2023, it's time for us to make changes. Last week, we had a power hour with Sarah, and she talked about setting goals. You can set goals all day long, but if you don't believe you can meet them, it's just goals on paper. So you have to start talking about the way it's going to happen. Change the way you talk and get with people that are like-minded. I love this group and I love Power Hours because of that. It is a community of people that are like-minded. We don't all believe the same thing religiously, politically, even our dress. But one thing we do is we know that Young Living is a place that we can find success financially. So there you are. Now, what are your comments and questions? Unmute yourself. I have it written in the chat, so if you need to tell me something about that, go for it.
I was going to type this. I was typing this whole thing up, but I feel like as a mom, and for any others that are mamas, it's very easy to see in your kids when they lose confidence. Like then they have the I can't do mentality. And so for us, we have one that has really struggled with school, and we are always proactive with his thought process and like positive reinforcement because that helps anything that's difficult. And it's same with us. And so anyways, just the whole, our thoughts and our words to ourselves are super powerful.
Okay, I see. Would you address savvy, please, for the doomsday people? I don't know. I don't understand that question, Melissa. We will no longer have savvy, but I think that was a really, really smart move for Young Living. The reason I think that is because there was so much there that we were not, Young Living was putting a lot of finances into Savvy, but we were not selling a lot of Savvy. And so if we're not going to sell, I loved it. And I still do. And I've been collecting what I can to have. But if we can't sell it, that's not our focus. Our focus is health. And if we're not going to focus on that and sell it, then it's a waste of Young Living's finances. I'd rather see them put it places that will be beneficial to us. Just a way to discuss it. I mean, that's how I feel. This was just a really smart move, even though I don't like it. I want the Savvy, but business move, I think it was very wise. Anyone else?
You asked me to share a little bit today, and so I'm going to share this two quick thoughts. And I've been sharing this on Green Diamonds repeatedly, and I'm going to share it on here again. Mindset doesn't shift overnight, right? Like these things we didn't. So I'm going to go back and give my example of my decluttering. So, and I'm shameless about it. I've been decluttering my house for 6 months, which is a little embarrassing, except for now in my decluttering group, they said, well, I bet it didn't take 6 months. How long did it take you to get there? So, a lifetime, right? So why are you ashamed of yourself that it's taking you 6 months to get into a place where you feel comfortable? And then the other thing they talk about in there every single day is that 5 minutes matters. So, and the 5 minutes that I don't do also matters. So I can go in and clean a bathroom. I mean, you're not going to on the toilet, but I can clean it in 5 minutes, right? Like I'm joking, y'all. You can really get a project done quickly in 5 minutes. And then it's the snowball effect. Every 5 minutes matters. So if you are mentally blocked or you have been taught that you have to go balls deep into Young Living, you don't. You have to do 5 minutes. And then you do 5 minutes the next day. And then you do 5 minutes the next day. And then maybe you add it up to 10 minutes. And those 5 minutes start changing our neural pathways. So we no longer think I'm thinking about building a business. We know I'm building a business 5 minutes a day. I am no longer a cluttered person. I have become decluttered 5 minutes at a time. And those 5 minutes have changed my entire home. We have a 22-year-old guy at our house right now. He's a neighbor. He's out there visiting with Adam. And he tells me he looks at us earlier and he said, I don't understand your place. You have 9 dogs and 8 kids and your house is streamlined. He said, everything has a place and everything feels so organized. And I just sat back and Adam said, no, that's all my wife. But he's proud of it, right? And like when a 22-year-old guy notices that, that's not the age that notices that kind of thing. And so, but it came with 5 minutes, right? So every day that you don't do 5 minutes, you're not a business builder. And every day that you do 5 minutes, you're a business builder. And every time you go once a month and do an hour, you're not a business builder. I can't brush my teeth once a month. I have to do it 5 minutes a day. The last thing on this, most of you know, some of you may not, my second daughter has a brain tumor in and on her brain stem. She has had 2 brain surgeries and she's had proton radiation therapy. It has killed brain cells, good ones and the bad ones, right? So my kid literally has brain damage. And every single day, she teaches that little brain to learn something else. She has an actual gaping hole in and on her brainstem. So her brain has created different neural pathways to teach her to breathe, for her heart to beat, for her left hand to work. In 2023, she just went on a trip to Colorado with her boyfriend and his family. She learned how to crochet. So what is she doing every day now? She's crocheting You know what doesn't work? What was never supposed to work is her left hand. It looked like a stroke victim. Have you ever seen somebody's hand that just does this? We could just smack her with it. She couldn't feel it. Y'all, she's crocheting today. That's because she taught her brain. Her brain created a different mindset. She's not a victim. That girl is I promise you, you're more of a victim than she's ever thought of being. She has no space for that. And she doesn't make excuses. She figures out a way. She was supposed to be on here, but she crocheted herself to sleep. And do you wake up a tumor kid? You don't. You don't do that. I'll keep building her business for her. She'll get there. But if a kid with a brain tumor can figure out how to crochet, how to walk again, how to use their hand when they literally have less of a brain than you and I do, then we can all do it. 5 minutes matters.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do now. I'm going to stop the recording for a reason.